So that's the eastern hedgerow behind me, fully completed. It felt like a long time, but it was done well with a lot of help. And now it's time for the southern boundary. Don't like to look at that cloud. It's very early June, summer is here, and I'm just taking a look at some of the hedgerow that I planted back in February and March. It was one of the first things I wanted to do here because of the exposed nature of the site and just wanting to build up biodiversity very quickly, and the hedgerow is a great way of doing that. All in all, I got about between 1,400 and 1,500 trees into the ground. It was a mix of mostly native trees, and I wanted a good portion of that to be edible so I could actually get some harvest out of them. So there was mainly hawthorn in there, that was about 50% of the mix. Then there was 25% elder, and then this is actually elder here, which is one of my favorite trees because of the berries and the flowers and the drink you can make from it. And then as well there was blackthorn, spindle, guelder rose, crabapple, there's a bit of hazel, yew trees. Most of it's doing pretty well, or most of them have taken off and started putting on new growth and leaves, and that's just really nice to see after all that work. I did have a bit of help from friends and classmates from my organic course, which was really helpful. I'm at the eastern boundary now again. Compare this back to when I was planting it back in February and March. It looked a hell of a lot different. This is a hazel tree doing pretty well there. That's an elder. More hazel. You can see even though the hedge is getting swallowed up a little bit by all this weedy growth and nettles, buttercup, it's doing okay, I think. Probably needs some bit of work to bring back some of those nettles and grasses, and maybe try mulch it again. Here it's actually, for some reason, okay in this little clearing. You can see remnants of the wood chip down here that we put down. But all in all, I mean, it's definitely taking a bit of shape, and that's only 3 months. So let's give this a few years before we can actually call it a hedge. In terms of a wind shelter, hedgerow was really the only option for me. The alternative is fencing, but that just wasn't in line with what I want to do. Fencing deteriorates, you need to maintain it. I'm still picking up bits of fence and wire buried here, so why not create a living boundary? And we all know the benefits of trees. You know, oxygen, recycling, water, minimizing pollution. They just look good, and we want to keep building our native seed bank. And unfortunately, Ireland is one of the least woodiest countries in Europe right now, so putting these trees into the ground hopefully helps, even if it's a small bit, to try undo that statistic. What I want to do here is support as many forms of life as I can and maintaining ecological balance. So that's what a hedgerow will give me. It's going to support so many birds, insects, and once you have that ecological balance, then pest and disease pressure should be a lot lower, and that will result in better crops and healthier soil, healthier plants. So that's hopefully what this hedgerow will help me achieve. Hedgerows are pretty cheap as well. I mean, I bought a lot of these plants in bulk from Future Forest in Cork, and the more you buy, the cheaper to get. So for example, I think the hawthorn bare root plants worked out at about between 60 and 70 cents a plant. So it's the cost is not prohibitive. It's just, I guess, a lot of work to actually put those plants into the ground and give them the best start by giving them mulch and keeping the weeds back. So because of the exposed nature of this site that you can really see from the overhead imagery, I'm going to benefit a lot, hopefully, from the windbreak benefits of a hedgerow. I'm a bit away from that yet because it's going to be a few years before it actually bulks out and becomes any sort of useful as a hedgerow windbreak. And a good hedgerow can reduce wind speed by up to 50%, and it can reduce evaporation by up to 30%. So that for me translates to higher soil temperature and just healthier plants. So the basic process I had for planting these was measuring a meter out from this boundary, and using a cardboard template I was able to space the plants approximately 30 centimeters apart. And then using this cardboard template, we could use an eco spray I got on Amazon, and we could spray the points where the plants need to go into the ground. So we'd mark up a whole patch for trees to go in. We'd lay the trees out on the ground, and then just using a spade make a slit into the ground. So we weren't actually digging holes because it just wasn't feasible for that amount of plants. So just by sticking the spade into the ground, making a slit, kind of loosening it a little bit, and then popping the bare root plant in there, and then tamping the soil back tightly. That was it. It's a pretty simple planting process. After the trees went into the ground, then we would I bought these rolls of cardboard that were 30 centimeters wide exactly, so that meant we could roll a row on either side of the plants and one in the middle, and then on top of that we mulched with woodchip. Woodchip I just got from a local arborist. We ran out of that woodchip near the end, but I was able to find some other mulches. So because the flail mower arrived, I was able to mulch with grass on top of the plants. And it doesn't really matter what you use. It was just something to give the plants a good start, keep them weed free as they take root. And I think that worked, even though now they're after getting swallowed up by the weeds again. I think they got a good start. So the mulching in cardboard definitely, it didn't do any harm. I'm not sure, was it completely necessary? Some mistakes I made. So what I was doing was taking the whips out of the bag and laying them out where they're going to be planted. I probably shouldn't have done that, especially on some of the windy days, because the roots dry out and some of those whips were sitting there for a long time. So I'd say keep them in the bag as long as you can, so they stay moist. There are a few trees that just didn't take off, and I'm guessing they might have dried out while they were sitting there. I would probably use a thicker layer of cardboard as well. I'd maybe go 2 layers of that. The cardboard that I bought, it was quite thin, and it wasn't long before the buttercups were bursting up through them. But like I say, I think it still did help keep the weeds back for a while. Other than that, I made no mistakes. Yeah, all in all, it was a really enjoyable project, and especially when I had some friends and classmates here to help me. It's really satisfying to walk around the property now and know that, you know, I'm responsible for all of these trees in the ground, and I can't wait to watch them grow over the next few years. I only wish I could speed up time a little bit, but maybe that's the joy of it, is seeing these progress over a long time and be able to look back on videos like this when we just planted them. And I know that the hedgerow is going to be a massive asset to this farm if it's in any way successful. And in a way, it's almost like we were just putting in foundations for a house. I think the hedgerow will turn out to be a critical component of supporting life and protection. And in many ways, I think a hedgerow is an unsung hero of a farm. It stays out of trouble, it just sits in the background, but the impact it has in terms of wildlife and biodiversity and wind protection, I don't think can be underestimated. So yeah, so that's it for this episode, and I'll keep you updated on the hedgerows in years to come.